Absolutely. We're all synced. What you put a moustache on your headlight for?
Again?
Why have you put a moustache on your headlight?
Why not? Got there ages.
That's a bit of bellendery, isn't it? Eh?
Have you never noticed it?
Fuck me, it looks like Hercule Poirot.
I know, exactly. Ding dong.
Bloody hell. Tell you what you want to do is just stick a bloody latex cock on there instead.
I was just going to get a couple of eyes. You know the googly eyes? Probably not. Yeah.
No, just get a huge plastic phallus and stick it on. Hey up! Ho ho! Welcome back. Look where we are. Bloody hell! Getting burnt off by a GS rider again. Here comes another. Mind them sheep. I don't know. We've just been looking right in the distance there from up top. I don't know if you can just know, you won't see it on the GoPro, but you can actually see what we think is either Middlesbrough or Redcar, Darlington or whether, but yeah, right up there, northeast. So on a clear day you can virtually see the coast from up here, and we're right in the middle of the country. Ain't that something? Excuse me. So, out and about with Andy and Colin, and I'm on the old classic 650. All going well with this bike. Just clarify a couple of points. I put out that short lambasting Yorkshire water and talking about how the hosepipe ban in Yorkshire is likely to be in place, they say, until the winter, and I were pointing out that that's first day of winters, sort of back end of September, third week in December, winter solstice round about the 21st. That's the start of winter. And but of course it's quite possible that a load of salt will go down before then, and because of the hosepipe ban we can't wash it off our bikes. And a few people sort of said we'll just use a bucket of water. Well, yeah, I know that. That wasn't what the video was about. I'm sorry, maybe I didn't communicate it properly. I think some folk thought, who's this idiot here? Can't even work out that if you can't use hosepipe, you can use a bucket of water. I know you can use a bucket of water to rinse your bike out. I know you can. You'll use more water that way than you will using hose pipe. Chuffing hell. You just can't enjoy this scenery, can you? Everybody wanting you to go faster. I don't know. The thing with this road up here is, look at all these sheep. And sheep, let me tell you, just got a mind of their own. They don't follow any particular logical pattern of behaviour whatsoever. And if you're going to come warping up here at that speed, which by my estimation was in excess of 70 mile an hour, and it's a 60 maximum anyway, but it doesn't mean to say it's safe to do 60. All it takes is one of them sheep to do something unexpected and you could have a fatality on your hands. And I don't mean a sheep, I mean a rider. It's madness, folks. I know I drop 10-15 mile an hour off my speed when I'm doing an on-the-fly sort of vlog like this. That's just the nature of the beast. But those sort of speeds up here, when there's sheep lining both sides of the road, is a recipe for disaster. Just saying. You want to call me Captain Slow, boring old bastard, pain in the ass, rolling roadblock, call me what you want. Aye, well, what? So yeah, hose pipes. Right. Well, what I was doing, that in the rhetorical, if you like, in the rhetorical world, there's always been such a thing as making a point through examples in extremis. So it was that short about Yorkshire water. It was deliberately hyperbolic, i.e. I was deliberately using an example in extremis to make a point, but the point that I was trying to make wasn't really that, oh dear, how am I going to clean my bike in winter if there's still hosepipe ban. That wasn't it. I was just using that example in extremis to illustrate the ludicrous situation that we find ourselves in the United Kingdom of all countries, in the county of Yorkshire of all counties, because the UK is noted for having a lot of wet weather and Yorkshire is noted for having more than the country's fair share of wet weather. And so to find ourselves in a situation where we've got hosepipe ban until winter just because we've had a dry spring is farcical. And that's the point I was really trying to make. Not please can you help me because I don't know how to wash my bike now there's hosepipe ban. Of course I do. Yeah. Hey, I got a comment from somebody the other day that said, oh, I got talking to another ex-copper at a cafe somewhere, and he basically said he remembers you when you were a right bastard. Ooh. Let me tell you, I think I know who that is. And if I'm right, then by that measure I'm actually a saint. I shall say no more. A vast majority, 99.9% of all cops of all ranks that I ever worked with in my 30-year, I've got on really well with. But there are always going to be one or two exceptions, and a lot of time what happens is, in all walks of life, so coppering's no different, is it? In all walks of life, people think they know things about you because they've heard some half-baked bullshit tale that's done the rounds so many times that it's changed out of all recognition to the truth, and based upon that and that alone just form an opinion about you. Well, let me tell you, that's a very immature thing to do. If anybody says anything, if anybody makes a comment to you about somebody else which is derogatory, in my opinion, your first thought should be, is this just a load of bollocks? Is an axe being grinded here? Because as my old man used to say, if you haven't got out good to say about somebody, don't say out in the first place. Wise words, Dad. Only exception being, of course, politicians and the establishment. Make an exception there, slag them off all day long, and of course I do, to such an extent that even people like Colin behind me have labelled me a communist. And he knows I don't like being labelled, and I'm not. So let's get something straight there. I've said many times, I'm politically homeless. Because there ain't anybody kicking about that represents what I think. And I think as motorcyclists we tend to be fairly forthright but pragmatic, don't we? Say things how they are, see things how they are. And that's all I do, really. I'm not always right, but there's this school of thought, isn't there? Like it's almost like the prevailing wisdom, but it's nonsense, that if you believe A, B and C, then you must also believe D, E and F. And it don't wash. You know, you've either got a middle of the road set of beliefs, or you've got a left wing set of beliefs, or you've got a right wing set of beliefs. I just think it's bollocks these days. You've got a set of beliefs. That's the way I see it. There's a set of beliefs, and because I believe one thing doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to believe another. Just because historically beliefs have been grouped under certain headings and titles. So no, that don't compute. I don't know about you, but I just like to look at things and try and draw a logical conclusion, trying to make some sense out of an increasingly nonsensical, mad world. But it's getting more and more difficult, let me tell you. More and more difficult. Aye, so we're just gonna call in at Massam for a brew, and gonna decide there how to continue the route, where to go. And on that leg of the journey, I'll just tell you a little tale from the very, very beginning of my police service, because I get more and more requests for the little police tales. I have put one already into podcast format, and I shall be doing others. So no video, it's just audio, and that's just for people if they want to listen while they're doing whatever they're doing, while they're driving, while they're riding, while they're doing the garden, decorating, housework, whatever. That's all it is. YouTube likes you to put these things down separately as a podcast, because their podcast platform, I think, is the biggest going. It's bigger than Spotify even, so I'm told. But anyway, yeah, I get a lot of people asking for them coppering tales, saying, I do like them occasionally. So on the leg of the journey, which will follow the cup of scotch at Massam, I'll tell you about my first few weeks in the job, really, when I was still in training, and why I nearly jacked it in, and I did. I came whisker close to just packing my uniform up, handing it back to the instructor staff at regional training school, getting in my car and driving home. I came within a whisker of it, and I'll tell you all about that in a bit. And it might surprise you. Ooh, look at that. An old Leyland bus, eh? You want to come in this way, are you? What a beauty. Yeah, look at that. Wow, I'd love to have a go at that. Oh, brings back some childhood memories, that. Yeah, of course, I was going to tell you that tale. So back when I joined the cops in 1983, July of 1983, there was a week at the West Yorkshire headquarters. We were just called induction training, and that's where you learn a few basics, get your uniform, get your equipment, do a bit of physical training, bit of basic law, and the rest of it's sort of admin, swearing the oath of office in front of a magistrate, signing the Official Secrets Act, yada yada yada, all of that. And then you're training proper, so you're away for a few months to a regional training school, regional, attended by several northern forces. We were by far the biggest, West Yorkshire Metropolitan, one of the biggest forces in the country. So at Dishforth, RAF Dishforth Training Centre, which had been loaned to the Home Office by the Ministry of Defence, the MOD, for a period for regional police training in the north. So there were all the Yorkshire forces, West Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, Humberside, or East Yorkshire. And there were North Eastern forces, so there would be Durham, Northumbria, Cleveland, and some from sort of Midland forces. We had Nottinghamshire there, Derbyshire, and the British Transport Police. Well, you know, BTP had some officers there on training, so a bit of a mixed bag at regional training school. Because it's residential, you're away from home. You can go back at the weekend if you want, but you could go back on Friday afternoon, but you had to be back Sunday night. And that's what I used to do. I used to drive up the A1 to RAF Dishforth to the training school, and then fantastic drive back on a Friday afternoon when you'd successfully completed another week, passed the exam that you had to do every week, passed the physical that you had to do every week, passed the practical assessments that you had to do every week. So to do that, but week one, bearing in mind, I mean, I wasn't like an ex-cadet that have absolutely no background in the real world before they go into policing. I think that's the worst way to go into policing. So I had done sort of 2.5 years working at Mother's Pride Bakery in Bradford. Hey! I worked there, so I got a bit of real world experience under my belt. But yeah, it was literally a week after my 21st birthday that I joined, and I find myself in this very regimented military style training environment up at RAF Dishforth, where they have all the residential blocks and the classrooms and all the rest of it, and very disciplined. Your uniform had to be absolutely pristine in every way. Creases in your pants, creases in the sleeves of your jacket, razor sharp, that you could cut a mango with. Your hair had to be spot on, not too long, not too short. Your shoes had to be bulled to a mirror finish. And the first thing I learned is the only polish that you can do that with is Kiwi black polish. One or two lads, and they were mainly lads, rocked up with cherry blossom black polish. And for whatever reason, you cannot bull boots and shoes with cherry blossom. It will not come up. They call it spit and polish, but you don't use spit really, because there's contaminants in your saliva. We just used tap water, a little bit of tap water in the lid of the tin of polish, and your soft yellow duster. There were only certain cloths that work as well, so you learnt all these things. Soft yellow cloth, Kiwi standard shoe polish, a bit of water and elbow grease, and you could spend a good hour or two getting your boots to a mirror finish, and you got inspected on parade every morning. And if you weren't immaculately turned out, you were required to re-parade at 9 o'clock in the evening, just as everybody else were going over to the bar to have a few bevies and relax. No, no, no. You had to spend the evening getting yourself absolutely immaculately turned out, and then parade at 9 o'clock. And they were called 9 o'clock parades, and they were a punishment, not just for turning out like a sack of shit, but for other misdemeanours. You get what they call 9 o'clocked. You get a 9 o'clock parade. And you also used to get, in an evening, if it were your turn, security duty. So there'd be a couple of you, there'd be somebody on the gate until something like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and somebody walking around the complex, walking around the training centre, just making sure everything was okay and reporting to the duty sergeant. And that was just training. But week one, I lands on week one, and it's the first time I've been away from home, first time I've been away from parents and girlfriend and all of that, and I'm feeling a bit homesick, as you can imagine, and it's all very unfamiliar and all very regimented, and desperate not to put a foot wrong. And halfway through week one, I got gastroenteritis. Oh, I got a proper good dose of gastroenteritis, of food poisoning, of something. Nobody else went down with it, but I got it. I think it's fair to say the food in the canteen wasn't the best. But I must have got the worst of the worst on this particular day. Anyway, oh my bloody hell, I was proper ill. And there's nothing worse than being in an unfamiliar environment, feeling homesick, and on top of all that, being sick as a dog, and it were awful. I'm not kidding you. I didn't know which end to put down pot first, me head or me arse. Hey, what a 2 and 8. And the noises emanating from trap 1 that particular morning, I'm reliably informed, could be heard right at the other side of the training centre, a matter of a mile or more. Hey! Oh, the source of great amusement for many, not for me. Oh, I don't know if any of you out there have ever had gastroenteritis proper, but you don't want it. So obviously I get confined to quarters, and then I get, after a day in bed, I get moved to sick bay. They had a sick bay, so they moved me there under supervision of this nurse for a full day. I didn't quite see what the point of that was. I wasn't given any treatment other than drink plenty of water. I couldn't even keep water down. I was terrible. But I remember the first night when I was starting to come down with this, I was that low. I was so utterly low and depressed. This pathetic 21-year-old away from home, unwell, and all I wanted was my own bed at home. And I remember there were a photo that massively predates any sort of mobile telephony. On camp, on the training centre, there were a good old-fashioned British telephone box, a red one. Hey. So I had to go put a couple of 10 pences in there and I rang home. And I remember saying, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm coming home. And this might have been the Wednesday of the first week, but I were ready to do it, except for the fact I was too ill to travel. I physically could not have driven home. Otherwise, do you know, I think I would have done, and that'd have been that. That'd have been an end of it. You don't get another chance. And it's not like work where you go sick and you go home, don't you? No, middle of the week, police training, you are home. That is home. And poorly or not, that is where you stop. Unless you want to throw the towel in. But I remember thinking, look, it's Wednesday. I didn't know then, but I was to spend all of Thursday in sick bay, and I think they hoofed me out of sick bay about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and sent me to class for the last 2 hours, law class. But I remember thinking that evening, after that phone call, that I just need to get through Thursday and half of Friday, and then hopefully I feel a little bit better and I'm on my way home, and then I can have the weekend to think about it. And of course, it passed, as these things do, and by the time we came to Friday I was still a bit delicate. But by 6 o'clock Friday evening I was in local pub, Junction at bottom of Game Lane, Bradford. I was in there, my local, and supping pints of Tetleys like no had ever happened. And then of course after a couple of days on home turf, I returned on the Sunday evening with a completely different outlook and a newfound determination not to be such a sissy and to get on with it, and the rest is history. Would you believe? But yeah, I came really, really close to completely jacking it in, and of course I'm very glad that I didn't. But as trials go, as trials and tribulations go, that were a big one. But of course you get no sympathy. There's no sympathy from, I'm saying the lads, because it was then 95% young men, easily, just a handful of police women. But yeah, there were no sympathy from the lads whatsoever. They just found it absolutely hilarious. Number of times I had to go to bogs to project liquid from one end to the other of my tortured torso. Ha ha! Ho ho ho! Yeah, and while you sat there or you bent over with your insides soaking out of you, all you can hear is fucking hilarious laughter from dormitory. Oh, eh? Bloody hell. Right, so I think that was my first major test. And I passed it just about. Alright, just a little bit of a tale from very early on for your edification. If you do like what I do on this channel, please, 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 if you're not already subscribed, would you please subscribe? I really would appreciate it. Completely free of charge, now and forever. Please click a like, it helps the algorithms, and please feel free to share and to comment. And with that, I'll wish you safe riding, and until the next time, oh, I'll see thee.